a new month and I'm here with 5 new book recommendations. 5 books I read in the past month or so and that I wanted to recommend to you in case you're looking for something new to read. So let's get started with today's video. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Flor and I post new videos every single week talking about working for yourself, talking about content creation, talking about productivity, talking about motivation, and of course, talking about books. In this video, and as I have mentioned in the introduction, I will be sharing 5 new book recommendations. But if you're a huge book lover as myself, don't forget that I have uploaded 6 previous videos to this channel with 5 book recommendations in each of these videos. So you have a total of 30 book recommendations in my previous videos that you can click and go and watch them after you watch this video. Now, with that being said, let's get started with today's 5 new book recommendations. The first book I have to recommend is called The Sanatorium by Sarah Pearse. In this book, there was a sanatorium back in the day in a remote part of the Swiss Alps. But this place closed many years ago and then it was bought by someone else and it was transformed into a hotel. This hotel, and as you can guess, is very exclusive, very remote location, a very unique design. So when the main character of this book, called Ellen, is invited to spend a couple of days there by her brother and his fiance, she has really no reason to say no. But once she is there, she starts feeling like this place is kind of weird, has kind of a weird energy to it, maybe related to its past, and at the same time, people within the hotel start disappearing. So Ellen must somehow resolve the mystery, find out what's going on with the missing people before something even bigger happens at the hotel. So I like this book. Let's start by saying that for me it was a very good book, well written and everything. It was a bit scary. I don't really like horror movies or scary movies in general, so this book for me was very scary and gave me some serious chills, and I'm very happy that I read it during the day and not at night, because maybe I would have had nightmares. But if you are more into the mystery thrillers but with a touch of horror, scary, I think you're really going to like this one. I think the story is well constructed, and when you get to the end of the story and you find out what was really going on and what happened, why things are happening nowadays and everything, I think the whole story really has a good ending and it's very logical and a good explanation. So overall, I really like this book. Now, and moving on to book number 2, we are going to be talking about The Last House Guest by Megan Miranda. So this story takes place in a town called Littleport in Maine. In this town, there are 2 types of people. People that live there throughout the whole year, and then people that only go into town during the holidays. So for many years, there has been a great friendship between Sadie, which is one of the visitors, and Avery, which is one of the local residents. So they spend all summer together, they share their secrets, they have parties together. So when one summer Sadie is found dead, Avery's whole world starts to crumble. And although the police rules the death as suicide, Avery is not that sure. So she is set on a quest to find out what really happened with her best friend. So this book is told in 2 different timelines. On one side you have present day, and then you have what happened about a year ago when Sadie died. There is a bit of mystery about trying to find out what really happened with this girl, but I think that if you usually read mystery or thriller novels, you kind of find out what's going on before actually reaching that point in the book, and that happened for me. But I still think this is a good book to grab if you're in the search for something that might keep you up late at night until you find out what's really going on in this town. So overall, good book for me, and it's my second recommendation in this video. The third book I wanted to recommend is called The Midnight Library Library by Matt Haig. And before getting started with what this book is about, I have to say that this one is so far my favorite read of 2021, which is not a small thing. So keep that in mind because I really like this one. I recommend it to literally everyone that they should read this book because it's really that good. And yeah, just know that that is my favorite book so far. So the idea of this book is that there is a library somewhere, the Midnight Library of the title of this book, where you sort of go between life and death. So when you are sort of dying, before actually being dead, you end up in this library. And this library has a person there that helps you go through the books, and each of these books has a different alternative version of what your life could have been. So for the main character of this book called Nora, one book might represent what would have happened if she pursued the dream of having a rock band with her brother. Another one would be what would have happened if she went on to become an Olympic swimmer. Another one about being a person that studies glaciers. So in each of these books, Nora finds the opportunity to see what would have happened with her life if she had gone into a different career, into a different relationship, into different decisions at any given point in her life. So this book is truly so emotional. I think that at one point of this book, you realize what the ending is going to be, and you realize what's going to happen with Nora in the end. But what I liked about it is that that's not the main point of the story, but it's more about regrets, more about the decisions we make along the way, and if we would change the lives we had, if we could, and what these other decisions that we made at some point in our lives would have taken us. For me, it was a very emotional read. I cried like, I'm not gonna say half of this book, but probably like the last third of this book was me bawling my eyes out because it was not sad, but I don't know, like got me thinking about so many things, because you're reading about Nora's story, but in a way you're thinking about your life as well, and maybe the life of the people you know, and about this whole thing that every person probably in this world has thought about at least one time in their lives. That is this, what if, and then what if something different had happened? What if I had taken a different path? And it was crazy. For me, it was really good book. So I would recommend that you read it as well. I have a small disclosure to make before ending this recommendation. That is, this book covers topics of suicide. So maybe that's a good thing to know before diving into the book, if that might trigger something for you and your life and your personal experiences. But apart from that, I think that this is a really good book. So that ends the book review for this one, my favorite book of 2021. And let's move on to the next. The fourth book I have to recommend is called The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. So this book is mainly about two women. On one side we have Amber, and on the other side we have Daphne. So Daphne's life is everything that Amber would love to have. She has a very handsome husband who's very caring. She has two lovely daughters, an amazing gigantic house, and seemingly a lot of money. While on the other hand, Amber has a job she doesn't really like, she has no family apparently, and she lives in a very tiny apartment. So Amber has a plan to sort of gain access to this amazing life that Daphne has. So she becomes best friend with Daphne and tries to figure out a way to somehow replace her. So to begin with, I think the initial plot of this story is very good, and it's what caught my attention and what made me want to read this book. So we'll give it props for that. As you begin to read, there are certain things that you sort of realize before the author makes the final reveal. And I think the story has like two different twists. The first twist I realized way ahead of it coming out on the story. But then the second twist, which is very dark, that one I did not see coming at all. So for that, I give props to the author. So for me, this book was a very good read, and overall, I recommend that you read it. And finally, the fifth and last book I have to recommend for today's video is called Still Lives by Maria Maria Hummel. This book is mainly about two different women. One of them is Maggie, who is the person that's telling the story, and on the other hand we have Kim Lord. Kim Lord is an artist, and she has been working for several months on a new exhibition of her called Still Lives, as the book is called, which is all about famous women that were murdered and how their lives and how the stories of their murders were kind of scrutinized by the media and became sort of like a weird part of pop culture. So when Kim Lord doesn't show up on the day of the opening of her exhibition at the museum in LA, Maggie, who works at the museum, gets really worried and starts investigating on her own what could have happened with Kim Lord, why she didn't show up, and if there is something going on with her ex-boyfriend, who now happens to be Kim Lord's boyfriend. So I think this book is good. Didn't love it, but I liked it. I think the story is good and the mystery is good. But when you get to the final reveal, the final whodunit or who did it, as you might say, I think that's underwhelming. I don't think the author has like a great closure of the story that makes like 100% sense, but it was not a bad book. It really caught my attention and I was really intrigued until the very last page, trying to find out what really happened with Kim Lord and what's going on in this story. So overall, I think it's a good one. Not my favorite, but I recommend you read it. So that is everything for today's video and for today's 5 new book recommendations. As usual, I recommend you follow me on Goodreads. You can find me there as Flo Pereira. Over there, I am updating every new book that goes into my want to read list or into my currently reading list and the books I have finished. So if you follow me on Goodreads, you might know which books I'm reading and which ones I finished before I share this on YouTube. And you can also follow me on Instagram, where you can find me as Flo Pereira as well, where I share through my Instagram stories and my in-feed posts new book reviews of everything I've been reading. And as I have mentioned before, I joined the Goodreads 2021 reading challenge and I pledged 36 books, and so far by mid-May I have read 13, so I'm on track, which is good news for me, for this channel and for the challenge. So let me know down below if you have signed up to the challenge, and as usual, of course, do let me know down below in the comments if you have read any of the books I have recommended, what you're reading right now, and what is your favorite read of 2021 so far, as I have shared mine in this video. And as usual, if you like this video, do leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. We have recently reached 1,000 subscribers and I'm really happy about that, and I wanted to say thank you if you're part of this family, of this first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. That is it for today's video. As always, I will see you on the next one. Bye!